So before the video begins, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of the video, Fan to Fan Network. Now, what the Fan to Fan Network is a network for you guys, for the fans, giving you unbiased and real analysis and perspective. If you guys are tired of the mainstream media, if you're tired of the same old watered down biased takes, and you want a different perspective, unbiased, uncut, and real, make sure that you guys go ahead and check out the Fan to Fan Network. They're going to be streaming live streams almost every day on Twitch. The link will be down in the description, in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys go ahead and check out the Fan to Fan.
Growing up as a kid, all a nigga wanna have was a Burberry scarf and $3 in my pocket. Instead I got beat with a switch, but I don't give a fuck, but it's on my body. Scars all up on me, but I run around from.
What is up, everybody? It's JT Sports Match, you guys, with another video. In this video, I'm here with my Cleveland Browns 2020 NFL record prediction. Going to be going game by game, predicting the Cleveland Browns 2020 record for the upcoming NFL season. So, when you look at the Cleveland Browns, this is a team that once again had a really nice offseason. They had one of the best drafts in the NFL. They had a pretty nice offseason. So, overall, this Browns team is one of the best teams in the NFL from a talent perspective. Now, like we know last year that games are not played on paper. You got to go on the field. You got to prove it. And last year, we saw how much coaching matters with the Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns. Now, a lot of people, including myself, felt the Cleveland Browns want to be a playoff team, and that didn't really happen. The offensive line was a lot worse than what we expected it to be, and Freddie Kitchens was not a great head coach. Now you look at the Cleveland Browns, you bring in Jack Conklin, you bring in Jedrick Willis. So, I mean, this offensive line should be a lot better compared to what it was last season. You also got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, and probably one of the best backfields in the NFL. And I believe that Baker Mayfield should have a bounce-back season. Now, one knock on the Browns is going into this year that we don't really know how long it's going to take for them to get into the flow of things, because with the ongoing pandemic that's going on, things like that, they weren't able to have OTAs and things like that. So we don't really know how quickly this Cleveland Browns offense is going to be able to learn this offense. Now, I know a lot of Browns fans are going to be like, oh, JT, they've been studying the playbook. They've been doing Zoom video calls and things like that. That should be pretty fine. I mean, yeah, it's okay to know the playbook, but it's a difference between knowing the playbook and going on the field and being able to execute those plays. So the Browns could start out the season pretty slow. So Week 1, they played the Baltimore Ravens. They go on the road to face Baltimore. I got the Ravens winning that game. Like I said, they're starting the season out early. They're not really going to know the offense all that great and things like that, because they haven't had all that time to prep and things like that. So I got the Ravens winning that matchup there. Week 2, I think they lose to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, this is a team that you can't sleep on, the Cincinnati Bengals. Like I said, this is a Browns team that is coming in really early into the season under a new coach and things like that. So it's going to take them a while to get into the rhythm of things. So I think they start the season out 0-2 there. Week 3, they face the Washington Redskins. I think they pull out the victory there. I think that this is a game that could possibly go in the favor of Washington, but overall, I think Cleveland should be able to get a win there. So they're going to start the season out 1-2 there. The Washington Redskins have a pretty good defense. Their defense should keep them in that game, but overall, I just don't think Washington's going to be able to do enough offensively to beat the Browns. Week 4, they're going to be facing the Dallas Cowboys on the road, and Jerry's World at Dallas. I think they pull that victory off there. The Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns are in a really interesting vote as well. They're both in similar situations, but I think Cleveland's a better team overall than Dallas. Dallas defense, their secondary for the most part, is going to take a step back. I think Baker Mayfield should be able to have some success. They also should be able to have a decent amount of success around the football in Dallas as well, because Dallas defense is probably going to take a step back due to all the losses they had last year. So I think Cleveland bounces back going into Week 5. I think they have a 500 record there. Week 5, they face the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to be at home in that matchup. I think that Cleveland wins that game there. That's a little bit of a toss-up. It could go either way, but I'm just going to go in the favor of Cleveland there. Week 6, they're going to be facing the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road in Pittsburgh. I'm going to take Pittsburgh to win that game there. I also think that Pittsburgh probably loses to the Browns the next go around. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to sweep the Browns this year. I think they go ahead and they split. Week 7, they got to go ahead and face the Cincinnati Bengals once again on a rematch on the road to Cincinnati. They're going to win that game. Cincinnati's not going to sweep the Browns, but I don't think the Browns are going to sweep Cincinnati there. Week 8, they got to face the Las Vegas Raiders before their bye week. Now, this is a really interesting game because I think this is a game that could possibly be a shootout because we don't really know how good the Las Vegas Raiders defense is going to be. I mean, they had a pretty decent free agency, but most of the guys they bring in my opinion, were pretty average. I mean, other than Corey Littleton, who is the best coverage linebacker in the NFL, but other than that, I don't really know how I feel about their defense. I still think their defense is pretty much not going to do all that much, and I don't think they're really going to have all that much improvement on the defense side of the football. So I'm going to take Cleveland to win that game. Like I said, that's a game that could possibly be a shootout there, but ultimately I'm going to take the Browns to win that game. Week 9, they got a bye week there, which is a really good point. That's pretty much the midway point of the NFL season, so they're going to have a chance to sit back and recuperate. Right now, they have a pretty solid record. They're like 6-3 right now, which is a lot better than what a lot of people have the Browns at this point. So week 10, they got to face the Houston Texans at home versus Houston. I think Houston gets the win there. I really like Houston. Houston's going to be able to put up a lot of points. I know a lot of people aren't really high on Houston, but I think Houston could go on the road to Cleveland and pull off that victory there. Deshaun Watson, as long as you got Deshaun Watson, you're always going to be in games. So I think Houston could go on the road and get that win there. So they go 6-4 there. Week 11, they got to face the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Philadelphia wins that game. Philadelphia has a really talented roster. I also think they're going to be a better coach team there. So I'm going to take Philadelphia to win that game. So that's Cleveland. They're going to be dropping 2 games in a row. Not a knock on Cleveland. I just think that Houston could get that win there on the road. And I think that Philadelphia is one of the best teams in the NFL. They also have one of the best coaching staffs in the NFL as well. So I think Kevin Stefanski probably could end up getting out-coached by Doug Peterson there. So 6-5 going into Week 12. They're going to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road in Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Jaguars aren't going to be all that great. I don't think Jacksonville Jaguars, like I said in a couple of other videos, are going to be the worst team in the NFL, but I don't think they're going to be all that great there. So I think they pull out the victory there. So they're 7-5. Week 13, they have to face the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Tennessee Titans is always a really tough team to play, especially at this point of the season, because the Tennessee Titans is a team that normally they start off the season really slow, but in the second half of the season, they really pick things up. And I'm going to take Tennessee to win that game because Tennessee is a really scrappy football team. Like, on paper, you could say the Cleveland Browns could win that game, but the Tennessee Titans, I really like what Coach Vrabel has up there. I really like the chemistry that they have in that locker room. I really like how good they are up front, and I think they're going to be able to stop the run of Cleveland as well. So I think Tennessee is going to end up beating the Browns. So the Browns got to face the Baltimore Ravens. That is a tough one. I don't think the Browns are going to get swept by the Ravens. Like, the Ravens are a good team and all, but this is a better Browns team than what they faced last year. Like we saw last year, the Browns were able to match up pretty well with the Ravens as well. They had like an upset victory when Nick Chubb ran absolutely crazy against the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Browns could get swept by Baltimore. I'm not ruling that out, but I'm just saying the Browns are a lot better than what they were last year. So I think they split with the Baltimore Ravens. Week 15, they have to play the New York Giants on the road in New York. That could be a little bit of a tricky game because it is late in the season. New York could hit their stride at that point since they really have nothing to play for unless they just want to go ahead and tank for a draft pick, because we know the Giants aren't making it to the playoffs. But I'm going to go with Cleveland. The Giants have probably... Their secondary isn't all that great. It's not bad, but it's not great in my opinion. I think Baker Mayfield should have a pretty nice field there against the New York Giants defense. Now, one thing that the Cleveland Browns will struggle against New York is running the football, because I think the New York Giants are going to have a top 10 run defense when it comes to their ability to stop the run. Their defensive line isn't all that great when it comes to getting pressure on the quarterback, but they are able to stop the run as well. Week 16, they got to face the New York Jets. I'm gonna take the Jets there. I think the Jets could pull off the upset late in the season. So I have the Browns going 9-7, which I think is a pretty reasonable prediction. They could win that game versus New York, but the Browns with a fairly young team, a new coach. Normally you see new coaches kind of lose games they have no business losing later on in the season. So I think the Browns could lose that game there versus New York. It is on the road, and at New York as well, so they could lose that game there, but they could win that game also. But I think they end up going 9-7. I think that is a pretty reasonable prediction. And like I said, early on in the season, I think they start out pretty slow. They could lose that game to Washington. They could lose to Indianapolis. So I mean, the schedule could go. I think I'm giving, a lot of people may say that I'm giving the Browns a little bit more credit than what they deserve, but I also think that this is a really talented team, and I also think that Kevin Stefanski is the coach that the Cleveland Browns have been looking for over the last couple of seasons. This guy was really good during his time for Minnesota. He has like a zone run scheme. He also loves to utilize play action, so he does what Baker Mayfield and this Browns team is equipped to do: play action, run the football. You also got Kareem Hunt in the backfield as well, so I think 9-7 is pretty reasonable. I think the Browns should be able to make the playoffs with that record. I don't know, it just depends on how the AFC turns out, but the AFC, I mean, is really competitive this year. I mean, especially in the AFC West, 3 teams can make it into the playoffs from the AFC West, but also 3 teams from the AFC North can make the playoffs as well. So this is it for my Cleveland Browns 2020 NFL record prediction. Let me know how you guys feel about it down in the comment section down below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content, and thanks for watching.